So try to do that. This sheet, I took a few of the areas that I'm working on that really address, and I have some more of them if you didn't get one, some of the issues where my opposition has said Margaret is not friendly to this or is against that, and just sort of taking, okay, so I'm not doing anything for the farmers and list a bunch of the things that I've done and take some of these. So that's what I did yesterday. And I also have a newsletter, and I just thought this is the most recent one, and it does, right now, co-chair of the Real Property Tax Task Force, and so these are some of the bills coming forward. The other chair is Fresh Onishi, but he tends to be busy someplace else, so I'm pretty much
making t-shirts.
Making t-shirts, political anyway, so I've been doing much of the legislation, and you might notice there have been a number of letters in the newspaper. Of course, all these people that write letters, you know, why is Margaret doing this and why is Margaret doing that? None of them come in and testify or submit any testimony. It's just where can we find something to raise an issue. And a lot of the issues that they've brought up are legitimate. Say on one of the issues that we did this past week was on residency. We have an exemption for if you're up to age 59, 40,000 is totally excluded from property tax for everyone. And so my thing was, well, we're closing all these loopholes, so I'm going to raise this. You know, we close this and do better. All the good people that are following the law should get the benefit. Okay, so one of the ways so I'm trying to raise that from a 40,000 exemption to a 60,000 at least, so that we'd all get a little better deal on our property taxes. But the loophole, the key loophole that would more than pay for this, way more than pay for this, is tightening up the residency requirement that you really reside on this island. And so the simple way to deal with that, or the administratively feasible way, is we now have a deal with the state tax department and check, are they paying Hawaii state income taxes? And so we can run those all through. We don't know how much you pay, anything else, but if they are filing one, then you get the credit. If you didn't, then you're no longer qualified. So we're trying to do it. The idea is to benefit those who are really part of the fabric of the community and really here and deal with the high cost of living, and that's where it's at. So I try to always say, what is the purpose for this? Why are we all others paying more, and who are we giving the benefit from? By doing that, there are some that earn under the low limit. I don't know exactly what it is, but let's say 3,000, and if you don't earn more than 3,000 something, then you don't have to file a tax return. So if you were a homeowner and you own a home, but you're earning less than that very minimum, you would now have to file a tax return to get this exemption. So those are, conflicting legitimate concerns. How do we deal with them? There's been a couple letters in the paper, what's Margaret doing here? And in meeting with the administration, they say if you start putting loopholes and having it where they have to sign affidavits or they give other evidence, it's just not going to work. It's just more than we can deal with. It'll just be a total loophole and just won't work. Then on the other hand, one thing I say is this is really a privilege, and if you own a home, you're taking on certain rights and responsibilities. And here it is, if you want the privilege of other people paying more taxes than you would otherwise, and basically shifting the burden that to have to file that form, which is a very 1040 easy, and you put the amount 0 and then you sign it, is that so much to ask of the homeowner that will now be getting that benefit? So those are the kind of issues that we come up, and how do we deal with them? And that's each of them have conflicting legitimate interests. I mean, it's not, you're right, I am concerned about that, and I actually stayed over in Hilo the other night to meet and said, is there any way we can address this so that it would really work, so that those, and it's not a big number of people, because most of the people that earn less than that actually will get a credit even though they don't pay taxes, the way our current tax system is set up. So, this is just one of my newsletters, so I try to get this out, and so everyone knows what's coming up on the agenda, and if you want to come testify, you can come testify. Someone asked me recently, well, what are some of the key things that you feel good about, that you achieved, and I was thinking that probably getting the video conferencing center in North Kohala was really big for that whole half of my district. That we have so many people coming to testify, or actually many of them don't testify, they all come and the seniors all sit and watch. But, you know, just watching what's happening and doing that. And it's been really, as sort of put North Kohala on the map. They actually have sometimes more testifiers than Hilo and Kona. And especially in terms of agriculture issues. So I know somebody asked me, I guess Fran asked me, sort of photovoltaic and that, and sort of something on that. I just wanted to mention something I thought was interesting is I brought in a bill that we do photovoltaics on all county buildings, just like Maui. And Maui's saving their taxpayers somewhere between $10 and $20 million, okay, doing this. So I just paralleled it. This is no brainer, and somebody who was over there and consulted and wrote it all out, and I said, nobody can be against this. This is definitely going to be non-controversial. So I come in, and then in comes, what's his name, Ralston, for the administration, and says, well, we can't support this. We're not going to support this. And all these problems. I said, so, well, why? You know, this, I didn't even think about it being controversial. And he said, well, if we don't pay the taxes, then we don't pay the profits to Helco, then somebody else is. And I said, well, who are we as the county, who are our constituencies? Aren't I supposed to be looking out here for, at least for me, my district and the island as a whole? And Maui did it, and they're saving all this money, and everybody's all excited. And no, we're opposing it, and so it didn't. So it's a resolution to ask the county to do that. But then I noticed at the last Waimea Community Association meeting, Dutch Kuiper gets up there, and he says just about everything I said, except it's not Maverick Margaret, you know. He actually said, no, here they are, and they say we can't do that because it would cut into our profits. And they pretty much guarantee their investors 18%, and according to Dutch, they made like over 400 million, I think, in the last, I don't know what quarter, but in other words, he wasn't worried about their profits. So I felt really good about that. Well, and he said, and the administration and Helco are saying, but we're going to make it up from other people. How can you be so unfair? And he said, tough luck. This is what we're doing for our company. So I felt very good about that, and that he was able to cut through those arguments with all of his consultants and say, I'll even show you why that's not true. Good. So, you know, it's each of these things is trying to do things, you know, how can we do things that are really good and big, and get it out there and get it done, and not just, oh, 20 years from now, what we're going to cut it to. And I'm going, I want it now. I don't want to wait till, you know, I'm dead or too feeble to get around. And why not do it, take a good idea and make it happen. So I don't know if any of you have any questions. I'd be happy to answer, and I really appreciate your support. I'm basically trying to raise money right now for radio ads, which somehow are, they gave me the price, and I said, oh, okay, I can do that. And they said, no, that's the every week. That's not for the next 6 weeks. That's every for 1 week, and get to some of the people that are being blanketed with all the negative campaigning against me. So.